I'm going to be talking to Jim Wachowich, who's a lawyer for the Consumers Coalition of Alberta, about a very interesting case in which ATCO Electric has been brought before the Alberta Utilities Commission's enforcement branch for, some alleged misdeed. So welcome to the interview, Jim.
Good afternoon.
Look, maybe you could give us a brief overview of just what is being alleged that ATCO did and why your group wants to appear before the hearing.
Sure. So ATCO has to have all of its costs that it incurs approved by the utilities regulator, the Alberta Utilities Commission. And the test in approving those costs is, are the costs prudent? And prudent has been termed, are they reasonable? And in one of these processes in which ATCO Electric at the transmission level was seeking a cost approvals, it came to light through a whistleblower that they had overpaid for the provision of certain services on a contract. They then sought, in the allegation, it's stated they sought to suppress the discovery of that, mislead the commission and groups like ours who were intervening in the process, and basically claim costs they weren't entitled to and get them then approved, and they would then be rolled into and paid for through utility rates. So it wasn't just paying an imprudent amount, it was paying an absolutely unjustified amount and then seeking approval of it.
So they paid the First Nation or perhaps several First Nations lucrative contracts for another ATCO company to provide construction camps for the Trans Mountain Expansion oil pipeline project. So they curried favor with the First Nations to get those. And then that $12 million, they tried to pass it off onto consumers in the form of higher rates. Is that what's being alleged?
Additionally, it was $12 million. They tried to pass on a number closer to $25 million. So there's an $11 million amount in there that was not necessary to be paid. And you're right, that amount in the allegation appears to be it was paid to try to get an affiliate a bigger contract, a much larger and more valuable contract. So it has lots of layers to it and lots of untoward conduct or misconduct and trying to hide all of that.
Now, what's ATCO's defense here? My understanding is they said, oh, it was just an error on our part. We apologize. Please be gentle with us. Is that basically their argument?
Well, as one wag has said, their explanation, their apology is a little bit of, well, reconciliation made us do it. And I don't think that's holding a lot of water with anyone. What it appears to be, they're saying, look, we were trying to do the right thing, and we haven't seen their whole explanation. It's in what's called Appendix F of the filing, and Appendix F is still being held back. We understand we may see a redacted or edited portion of Appendix F next week. Appendix F, based on footnote references in other documents, is in excess of 180 pages, including ATCO's own internal investigations. They had a preliminary investigation, they paused it apparently, and then they resumed their investigation. So we'd be very interested to see some of the information in Appendix F, obviously. And it really sort of ties our hand a little bit in that we're commenting not knowing the whole story.
Now, why does your group want standing at the hearing? What are you hoping to achieve?
So at the broadest or high level, we view wide standing or more parties involved, proper parties involved, as a discharge of the public interest obligation that the commission has. It has to regulate from the perspective of the public interest. And that's not any one part of the public interest, but widely the public interest. So that's the starting point. The second is we were a party, we were examining these costs, we were misled, as was the commission. That goes to the crisis of this whole thing. If ATCO is willing to mislead the commission and us on this, did they do it before? Have they got other matters in progress where it's being done? We don't know. So we want to try to examine that. And then we want to look at how to rehabilitate the regulatory model so that we can come out of it with a better model that makes us confident the information we're getting from companies like ATCO are properly discharging their obligations in terms of the candor that is expected of them, the truth of their filings, and any supplement information they provide to us.
Is there a concern on your part that they have not done so in the past?
Well, it's been a bit of a cat and mouse game, and we've complained about this. As we've got commission rulings where it says it's not 20 questions, it's not sort of a hide and go seek kind of thing. They should be obligated to give us information and good answers when we ask questions, full and complete answers. We caught them on another matter where they said everything was remediated or any discrepancies were repaired. And we had heard through the grapevine that there was a significant discrepancy on a filing, and they were prepared to sort of brush it off as everything was looked after. And only when we dug did we find out they paid about $2.5 million for extra work that was due to an engineering error. So it's always a game of trying to find the imprudent expenditures or the unreasonable expenditures or the expenditure that shouldn't have happened.
Now, one of the reasons I'm interested in this case, Jim, is because over on the oil and gas side, the Alberta Energy Regulator is often accused by public interest groups of being captured by the industry, and all sorts of shenanigans goes on that are not properly disclosed by the regulator. Is this analogous, or what's your take on that?
Well, regulatory capture is always a problem. Like the regulated and the regulator get very familiar with each other, and there's long track records, and people switch sides in the equation. So this one, I'm less concerned about capture in that the commission was misled, but we're very concerned with how the commission handles this enforcement complaint, because that's going to tell us, is the commission willing to make the hard decisions on a matter in which it is the regulator. So a little bit of the proof is in the pudding. We're waiting to see how it cooks up. But what I think is going to happen is the commission is very frustrated it's been misled. Some of the language in the enforcement brief is as severe a criticism as I've ever seen leveled against a regulated entity, a monopoly utility like ATCO Electric.
When do you expect all of this to be resolved? What's the process?
Well, there's no timeline or no fixed timeline. And, this is serious, and I'm sure ATCO is going to take it very serious, and the enforcement division at the commission is going to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. They filed a very comprehensive and well-written brief, and there's a whistleblower involved, and I'm not quite sure. They had said at one time they wanted witnesses. There are discussions ongoing for the process to be streamlined. I expect it's going to take well into 2022, but the ramifications are going to reach much further than even the conclusion of this, because they've asked for various terms and conditions, and we expect those will deal with future regulatory events and future regulatory records, and how we can assure ourselves that the information we're dealing with is straight up and honest.
Well, Jim, thank you very much. Really appreciate your insights on this.
You're welcome, Markham. Have a great day.